turn off the tunes, even though I'm kind of used to this in my classroom. I kind of keep them on sometimes. It can get distracting though. My name is Brady Baxter. I'm from the Detroit Lake School District. And let's start out by telling you a couple things here. So about me, I'm a husband, alternative educator in Detroit Lakes. I'm a social studies teacher, so I'm a lover of history and politics. I'm a classroom technology blogger. If you didn't see it earlier, my website is bradybaxter.com. A lot of great resources from that I'll be talking about today you can find there, as well as many other resources. I kind of do it in my spare time, so about every week I put up a new blog article on there. Specifically though, you want to check out the how-to videos. Some of the more complicated things I'm going to show you today, I've created how-to videos for them, and you can follow along and you can do that yourself. Okay, so I'm an ed tech consultant as well. I've spoken to hundreds of teachers and administrators around the state at various professional development conferences such as this. So I really enjoy doing this and sharing some of the information that I know. I'm an instructional designer almost. Some people might not even know what that is. It's, I'm going back for my master's in instructional design and technology through UND. I went to Moorhead State for my bachelor's. Are there any fighting hawks and dragons in the room here? Or Sioux, if you'd rather be called that. All right, there we go, representing a little bit. So I'll be done with my master's degree in that pretty soon. I'm excited to be done, to tell you the truth. So I'm an outdoorsman as well. Back in another life, I was a rock and roller. I was in a couple bands. And now I call myself a biker. I bought a motorcycle last year. Maybe I should put novice biker on there. That might be more accurate. I haven't gotten in an accident. I haven't killed myself, so I'm doing all right so far. Okay. So today's topic is what we're going to be talking about. Now everything is linked in the session resources. You'll notice that there is the session presentation is one link, and then there's another link that's going to link to a Google Doc. And that Google Doc is going to have all kinds of hyperlinks and information, great stuff on there. I would check that out. So we're going to talk about asking questions, Goolaborating, I'll tell you what that's all about, memes, student choice, some extensions, some of my favorite extensions that work well with Google Classroom, how to create a PDF assignment, some connected websites, and a few other things. So we'll start off like this. What do you hope to get out of this session? Now raise your hand and I'll call on you. I did this on purpose, by the way. I hear laughs and I see no hands. Okay. I will still keep this open if anybody does want to share anything. You're not going to get off that easy go. Okay? Now, I knew that would happen. So, give it a second here. This is a cool extension that you can add to your Google Slides using Poll Everywhere. So now, do you like verbally answering a question when you are in a room filled with your peers? Okay? So this is a cool Google tool that you can use when you're using Google Slides. It is related to Google Classroom because everything in the Google sphere is related. I'm going to be talking about all those different things today. So I'll wait until maybe get an answer or two. So you go to polleb.com/BradyBaxter685 where you can text that number there. Okay? So a neat thing about this, if you want to use it with students, a lot of times they've got their device with them, and many times they're using it for something that they shouldn't be using it for. This is a good way to engage them in a positive way with technology. Okay? Take out your phone. They'll be astounded that you say that. And go ahead and answer this, is what you can tell them. Okay? It's important that we model positive use of devices and technology because it's here to stay. There's a lot of schools that are trying to block websites, trying to discourage kids from using those devices. I mean, these are the most powerful devices kids have ever had in their hands in the history of mankind. Let's utilize them, not tell them to put it away. It's not working so well so far by the looks of things. It's kind of a long process of going to this here. I'm willing to move on if we don't get an answer. If you do answer this, what happens is answers come in, you'll see little bar graphs that will go like that. I'm just going to assume that the majority of you do not like to answer questions in a room filled with your peers, colleagues, or strangers. Okay? So we'll go ahead with this. I've linked the link to Poll Everywhere, the extension, how to get that onto your computer. Okay? So Google Classroom offers more effective ways to engage students with questions. All right? So I'm going to show you how to use the stream to both ask a question and to Goolaborate. All right, so we'll go over here. Okay, so what you see right now is my Google Classroom that I created for TIES 2016. Okay, what you're looking at now is the opening page. It's the stream. It's supposed to emulate, to an extent, social media sites, which kids are going to see this and you're going to have that buy-in. Kids see the stream and they can kind of do this. You all know that motion with your device in your hand, or if you're on an iPad going like this, or scrolling down on a computer. Kids are used to going through a news feed or a stream, and they'll see this and they'll be like, ah, okay, you're speaking my language. Okay, so to ask a question, what you'll want to do, and this is the power of the stream right here, the plus button in the bottom right corner. You have all these different options, okay? We're going to go to create a question, just like that. So you type your question in there and you ask it. Now, I've already saved this one, which is a pro tip that I'll share with you. You'll see these saved posts. I created this beforehand just to make things go a little bit quicker, and I saved it. Okay, so I'm going to mention this again later. That's a definite pro tip. You can save drafts of assignments or questions, things like that. You can also schedule them to be sent out later too. Okay, so see, I've put today's question. This is how I do it normally in my classroom. Then I've got the actual question down here in the instruction area. You've got the due date that you can set, and then the topic. Now the topic is pretty important too, because you can search by topics, and I'll show you that in a minute here. So I've got it on today's question, and then I'll click on ask. Ask again. And you will see it right here. So now it looks like we do have some people, and I can tell, we've got some people in the classroom right now that are signed in. Do me a favor. If at least a couple of you could answer this question, I want to show everybody what it looks like when a question gets answered. In the meantime, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a student view. So I've got a student logged in right here. And you'll see at the top it says stream was updated. So if you do stuff in real time, students will see that, and they'll click on show, and it's going to show you a question here. Okay, so right here is where they type. More about Google Classroom. Okay, click on submit, submit again. Very simple. Okay, so now one thing that I will do, I'll show you what that answer looks like on my end here in a second, but this is a big tip that I would do if I were you. If you're going to ask a question, now I'm an alternative teacher, so I used to say, you know, okay, alternative schools, I work with some kids that are hard to keep their attention, et cetera, so I do all these extra steps, these extra tricks and techniques. This is just best practice. You can use it in any classroom, ALC or you know, high school classroom, middle school, elementary. So usually what I do, I give them a couple minutes. Okay, so I'll say questions out there. I'll give you a couple minutes to do this, and the students can take a look at that and kind of gauge where they are. And if they are the type of kid that maybe will goof off for the first few seconds and then wait till the last second to actually put their answer in, well, at least now they know when that last second is. Okay, so this is timertab.com. I don't have this one linked in particular here. Just remember that, timertab.com, just to keep order in your classroom. Okay, so let's check in and see when it goes down, the timer goes down, you'll hear some chimes to know that everything's done. So you can have it in the background, you don't have to have it up on the board. And when it chimes, you know, you should check students' answers. So there we go, we've got some students that have answered and some that have not. So you can see who's answered and who's not. And to go more specifically, I'm going to click on the 4 that are done here. Take a look. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit here. So now we can see some of the answers that students gave us, or that you guys gave me here. It gives a time when they had that answer put in, all right? And now as a teacher, I can do a few different things. I can reply to that student, okay? Good to know. Cover that, okay? Real quick way to communicate with students, now especially, nobody else sees this but that particular student, okay? So if it's a sensitive thing that maybe you want to tell them, or something that might embarrass them, this is a good way to do that. You can respond to an individual question. You can also do this with an assignment too. Okay. I can add a grade here, good work, 100 points there. You can adjust the grades up here if you want, and that's how it looks. So this is one way that you can ask a question in Google Classroom. Okay. Now on the left side here, you'll see that there's these different topics. Now what I want to show you here is my American History class from my school here. Okay. Now you'll notice there's these different topics that I've got. Let's click on today's question. So when you click on it, you'll see all of the today's questions that I've asked this past school year in this classroom. Okay? So another pro tip that I would definitely tell you is to create these topics or categories right here. Once the year goes on and there's more and more things that you've assigned on there, it gets to be a long ways to keep scrolling down the screen This makes it a little bit easier, okay? Okay, so that is one way to ask a question. Now, another way to ask a question is a classroom discussion question using Google Sheets, okay? So, I promise this is the last time I'm going to ask you to do something, if that makes any difference. Now, if you're anything like me, I'm not the interactive type during a session, especially if it's a listen and learn session like this one. But we could have a couple people come in here. I'm going to describe what this is. So it's a Google Sheet. You recognize that. Now, I've done some adjustments on it. If you check the video that how to create this, it'll tell you how I did it exactly. I've got the cells a little bit bigger. I've got my instructions in there, and you can see them nice and easy. And I've also got an example, a response right there. So students that are going into there and answering this, they get an idea of what they should be doing. Okay? So this is a collaborative activity. You can collaborate with Google. That's all collaborative activities are. And as these answers come in, I'm going to see it in real time. You can assess in real time. This is so fast. Instead of having to create maybe an assignment and then collect everybody's papers and then grade one individually like that, you can just look at this, the teacher can, on their screen as the people are answering it, and you can assess right then and there. And remember, too, we don't have to grade everything, okay? You still assess it, check and see if you need to redirect some of the kids or if they need some additional help and stuff like that. You don't necessarily need to grade it, okay? So another thing here that I've got, and I'll show you here while they're still answering, you'll see these tabs on the bottom, and I've got some dates on those tabs. Okay, so what you can do is you can add tabs for each day that you want to have a discussion question. Okay, so you'll see I've added a few. This is the one for 12/13 for today. For tomorrow, maybe you want to do a collaborative math question. Okay, create a math equation, have somebody solve it, and then comment on the equation correct or incorrect. Okay, another example then, 12/15 could be a favorite color, or it should be favorite color, it actually says something else. Let me show you an example of what a previous class has done in a professional development setting like this before. Here's what it looks like. So some interesting things that I see. Typically you think they're just going to type their answer in. Students can type their answer in. But the creative students are going to their true colors are going to show here, literally. They're going to do some things to make it look a little bit fancier, okay? You can have different colors. The background can have a little bit different color too, and you can put your answer in there. I'm not quite sure. You might be able to put a picture in there. That's a good question I have to look into. You can also put a link in there if you ever needed to do that, okay? So that's what it could look like in the end. Let's take a look back here, and it's coming along. All right. So I'm seeing some answers right here. Now the third part of this, where it says comment on the answer of your peers. So now to truly collaborate or collaborate, you probably want to include that step. Okay? If you just have them answer a question, that's step one. And you know what? That's a great start. Just to ask that question, have them answer. But the commenting feature is where you really get students to collaborate with each other. Okay? So you can leave comments on another peer of yours answer, and it looks something like this. Okay, so I put I agree on there. And you can see in the top right corner that little yellow, that shows that there is a comment that's been put in there. All right, so take a look at this here. We've got a thumbs up sign coming in there. You're going to see new things. The kids will probably teach you something when it comes to this every once in a while. Okay, so you notice now I shared this in a way that's familiar with you, that goo.gl. That's a quick way to share this document with you. Now, I put for editing rights when I shared it. I said that anybody can edit this. Anyone with a link can edit this. That's the way we used to do things with Google before Google Classroom. Google Classroom makes this way easier though. Okay? Let's take a look at how you would assign something like this in Google Classroom. Okay, so again, what you do is you go to that plus button, and you're going to go up to create an assignment. Okay? And you'll do all those things. If I'm not mistaken, I've already done this. So, what I actually chose to do was not create an assignment. Let me go back one step here. If you go to the plus sign, you'll also notice that there is create an announcement. There's a reason that I did this. I created an announcement that says, go to the discussion sheet in the About section and answer today's question, or discussion question. So I'm going to post it right now. Now, if you're in the classroom, you will see this come up. Okay, there it is. So what students know now is, okay, there's a task that they have to do. Now, they need to go to the About section to complete this task. So let me introduce you to the About section right here. Okay, so the About section in Google Classroom is extremely important. You can put documents there that are relevant to your particular class, and they're very important. So like the syllabus, for example, would be something you put in there. The best way to describe it is this. If it is a link or a document or something that the students are going to need to access multiple times throughout the school year, over and over and over again, put it in the About section. Don't keep assigning it as an assignment over and over and over again. Throw it in the About section. Then you can just create an announcement to say, go to your About section, go to the document, answer the question. Okay? So this is a way to ask a question with Google Classroom that's a little unorthodox. You go to that About section, and as you'll notice, if I go down, here it is, Classroom Discussion Sheet, goes up, and students will see a very similar view. All they have to do is open it up, and they can do that. All right? So use that About section. Let me take a look, or show you a couple other things. So if this was my class, if I was teaching Google Classroom over and over and over again, some of the stuff that I know you guys want to reference over and over and over again are here, like that discussion sheet, session resources, the presentation, stuff like that, my website. Another thing that you can do, and I'll show you how to add stuff, you click right here where it says Add Material, right here. Okay, so you click on that, and if you want it, I use Socrative a lot. Any Socrative users out there? Oldie but a goodie. Okay? So now for this one here, actually what you're going to want to do, I'm going to X out that there, we're going to call it Socrative. You want to title it there. And then you click on the link and put in www.socrative.com, post it. This is something that we're going to use over and over and over again throughout the school year. No use keep sending it out over and over and over again. I wouldn't even necessarily have to send an announcement out to kids saying to take this test, even though I probably would in case the student was gone. I just tell them in class, okay, everybody, go to Socrative. You either type it in or go to the About section. It's in the About section. Okay? So new students to your classroom, maybe just got in your classroom last week or something, they're not used to doing this. It's easy and simple for them just to go to that About section, and everything they need to know is there. If you have other just instructions, like a Google Doc with instructions for stuff that you regularly do in class, this is another great place to put it. Okay? So utilize this About section right here. You'll notice, I'll just briefly cover this, you can invite teachers to your classroom. So if you want to co-teach a classroom, Google now offers that ability. It's kind of a little bit newer feature. It's been around for about half a year now. And then 2 teachers have got access to editing the classroom, adding stuff to it, commenting on it, all those different things. So that's pretty slick. Now, as far as I know, what we kind of learned today is that if you're outside of 2 different school districts, I don't think that they can invite teachers from the opposing district. It's within your own district, from what I understand. Just so you know. Okay? All right, so that's one example of a collaborative activity. Now I'm going to show you one more example, and then I'll briefly cover a third. Okay? So this one here I've already created. I clicked on the plus button, went to create an assignment, and I created this one here. So follow the instructions on the second slide of the slides presentation. When you complete the activity, come back to the assignment and mark as done. So I'm going to click on this here, assign, and actually I'm going to check something here. Okay, this is important, and I hadn't done this. Right here, this is the biggest part about sharing a collaborative activity. Right here it says students can view the file. That's no good. I was about to send that out and it was going to be bumped. That's no good. What we need to do is go to students can edit the file. What this does is gives everybody that I'm sending it out to the same file as well as editing rights for that file. Okay? This is super powerful, super easy. With a couple clicks, I can share something. That is so much faster than like this example right here. This took me a long time. I had to go shorten the link, make sure that the sharing was on, editing rights for everybody. Took me a few minutes to get this created and ready for you guys to go to by just going to this link right here. Okay? Skip that stuff. Go to Google Classroom and assign it and give everybody editing rights. Okay? So now, once you do that, if you see on the student view here, you're going to see a couple different things. Okay, so now the students can open up this activity here just by a couple different ways. You can click right on the slideshow, just get straight to the business here. Now they're going to have editing rights. They're going to be able to edit this. Okay? So let me just kind of show you how you can make a collaborative activity with slides. Now, you've probably done something like this before, or you may have done something like this before. If not, pay attention. This is really cool. Okay? So you have an introduction slide like that. Put your objective or your instructions right on this slide here, the second slide, and then always give an example. Okay? Anybody that's been in a class, you yourself, an example speaks 1,000 words. I can tell you the instructions over and over and over again, but once you see it, it's going to make so much more sense. All right? So for this particular one here, I had them give me an example here, create a slide, put a name of a mammal on there, get a picture, and then to actually put a mask over the picture here. Let me just show you a little tip of how to add pictures and how to put a mask on there, just an unrelated, it's a fairly related tip here. So if you don't know, in Google, you have this tool right here called Explore. So you go to Explore, okay? So I'm going to type in the word bear. Go to Images. All right, so we have bear. Just drag it in. So now, if you didn't know that, that's like, boom. Okay, instead of having to download the file to your drive or to your computer, and then uploading it again, this and that, skip all that. What you're going to be able to do is just drag it right in there. The worst thing you have to do is maybe resize it. After that, it is so much quicker just to do it like that. Okay, so now I'm going to put this as a bear. I told them better follow my own instructions. Put my name on there. Okay, so now to add a mask, this is just a creative thing that if you can show students this, they'll have a lot of fun with this. So if you click on the image here, right here where it says crop image, you can crop it, or the little arrow next to it, mask image. All right, so now you can choose all these different shapes. We'll just do a circle. Okay, so now it's just a little bit nicer look. Just a little bit more creativity that can be involved with the project. Okay, so there we go. So now the student, part of the instructions was this. Okay, so if you assign an assignment like this, you have to make sure to tell kids to mark as done. So they need to come back, open up this assignment, and right here it says mark as done. I'm going to click mark as done. There we go. If it's an activity where people are collaborating and they're all sharing the same file, it's going to say mark as done. If I had like a worksheet that I sent out and made a copy individually for each student, it won't say mark as done anymore, it will say turn in. Okay? So you'll kind of notice that as you're kind of playing around with it, there's some differences there. It's just important that you know this so you can tell students, okay? So they understand what is expected of them, and so they don't feel like they're kind of lost. And this is an important thing too, that you can't let technology get in the way of learning. You're going to give technology a really bad rap. So what I would do is on your first day of school when you're using Google Classroom, you dedicate plenty of time. I know with standards, we all feel so stressed and busy. Those are kind of the big buzzwords around here this year, 2016. Okay? Just think about the kids. They're also going to be stressed and busy as well. And you just need to calm down, take a couple minutes, show them how to use the tool. Once you do this, you're going to free up some short-term memory in the students' minds. You're going to free some of that up in the future because they don't have to worry about learning how to work the tool. They can just do what you're asking of them. Okay? So dedicate time to learn the tool. Don't give technology a bad rap. Okay, so now what you'll see here on my end, this is the teacher end of that same document. So first off, I can see who has done it here, which has just been that one example. All right, so I can see what the student did. I can assess it right there. Let me show you an example of what this looked like in this one. There we go. So with a previous class that I had done this presentation with, here's what it can look like. Okay, so you just see a bunch of people, they followed the instructions, they put their name of the mammal on there, included a picture. I didn't tell them to put a mask on there this particular time, but now here is where you can take this to the next level. If you notice this, look at the mammal names. Okay, and I hope that they did this correctly. So C for chipmunk, D for dolphin, E for elk. Here's what I did when I sent this activity out. I said, okay, everybody follow those instructions, and everybody thought that's all they had to do. So then they got done, they're all proud, they did this and that. And I said, okay, I'm going to shake it up a little bit. Now, together, order these alphabetically. So if anybody ever tells you that like technology is going to make people just like focus and zone in, and now they can't socialize with everybody else in the room, that is not true. This is how you can get people to engage verbally with each other while using technology to collaborate. They're collaborating a couple ways. When I told people you need to do this by in alphabetical order, I could hear talking throughout the whole room. People were communicating with each other in two ways at the same time. Really cool. Okay? And it was cool to see leaders emerge. Some people kind of became the leader and gave instructions to other people. And in the end, they did pretty well. Okay? Here's another example. Now, in my session doc, I shared this one here, this blog article that I made. So I'm not going to go into it too much in depth, but I'll tell you this much. So I assigned this worksheet to my students in my world history class about the play. Okay? Simple worksheet. I created Google Docs. I sent it out to students, made a copy for each one, which I'll show you eventually here. And the kids thought that that was all they had to do. But again, I kind of came in with a little secret here. I said, okay, now that we're done with this, I'm going to share with you guys a Google Slides file. Okay? Everything you need to know about the play. What I told them is, I want everybody to put the answer to one of the questions on a slide. So kids had to talk to each other. I'm going to do question 1, I'm going to do question 5, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And then students can see how other people answered the questions, check it with their original answer, and they can maybe talk to each other. I don't know how you got that answer. Can you tell me? Again, this is all verbally. Kids will be talking. It's happened in my room. Okay? So I had them do that, and they did very well with it. And then I threw in another wrench. I put in 3 teacher facts. Teacher fact 1, 3, and number 1 here. And this was something like, okay, so the plague epidemic swept through Europe, 1348, 1351, some information. I told the kids, together as a class, take these 3 teacher facts and put them in a logical place. You know, starting at the beginning and then towards the end of the plague, put the facts from the end of the plague towards the end. So my questions were kind of chronological to start out with. But again, I threw a couple extra slides in there and told kids to organize it. That's the most important thing that you need to know, is that you can either tell them to organize the existing slides or throw some extra ones in there at the last second and have them go at it. You'll be very pleased with what you see in your classroom when you have students working on something like this. Okay? So again, in recap with that, every time that you do a collaborative activity, we'll click on Create an Assignment. And without even putting the title in here, I'll just show you again. You get the file, whatever it's going to be. Say it's this one, add it, and you go to this here. Students can edit the file. Make sure it says that. They can edit the file. Okay? Very, very important. Now, the last version, or the last collaborative activity that I've got for you, so you saw this, obviously. If you checked out this session, you were wondering what it was all about. You'll notice at the bottom here, and somebody has done it. There we go. The notes that are down here. This is collaborative. This is a collaborative sheet right here. Okay? Because it's been sent out to everybody. Everybody's got access to it. If not, it is in the About section right here, and I would always make sure to include that right there. Okay? And what you can tell kids in your classroom is, okay, we're going to be talking about this certain thing. I'm going to lecture on it today. Let's have you guys do some collaborative notes. Go into this document and go ahead and type some notes down. You can have everybody do it. You can dedicate 1 kid per day to do it, a group of students, however you want to do it. As long as you give editing access to all those students, you could do a collaborative note-taking activity. All right, so we're going to go back over here. So I've kind of expressed this to you already, but why collaborate? So it's fun. Okay, great way to collaborate digitally, easy to assess students' work in real time, and that awesome fact, collaborative activities can burst verbal communication in the classroom. If you click on that link, it's the link that I just showed you, that blog post that I had. All right? So, the requirements for this, and I've already discussed this for the most part, docs, sheets, slides, drawings, you can use this with any Google file. Okay? Technically speaking, you can collaborate with any type of a file that you can share. So like Prezi, for example, if you've ever used Prezi, multiple people can collaborate on one of those. You can do that too. But the power with using Google Files is that you can use it with Google Classroom. You can give the correct editing rights. Okay? So use it with Google Files, must share it. And then that third one is optional. It really brings it home is to have students comment on each other's response. Okay? Or what they did. So everybody's seen these. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, they're fun. Memes. And Putin, I must say, for a big tough guy like he is, he's an easy target when it comes to memes. Every time I type in meme to Google, when I click on images, Putin is always up there. And this is one of my favorite ones, even though it's a devastating thing that happened with Ukraine and Crimea. So now students know these, and it's important that we speak their language. We're already doing this if we're using Google Classroom, because you've got that stream there. Okay? And they think, you know, this kind of looks like my Facebook. This is going to be another thing that could be like, hey, this looks like the stuff I'm doing at home for fun. Okay? So, memes will work. Use Google Draw. I'm going to show you how to do this. So memes are just these images, relevant, funny text. So now engaging students, sparking creativity is one big factor involved with this meme project. So now teachers can choose the topic and or the image Or let students generate their own topic and image. There's a special ed teacher in our school that is doing vocabulary with this. Okay, so they've got a vocabulary word, teacher gives them the word, then lets them go. Okay, so they have to use that word in a sentence and make a meme from it. Okay, you're always opening it up to the student's discretion. They're a little bit more liberal with the words they might use and stuff like that, the topics they might choose. So if you notice that it might get a little out of hand, or you kind of know your population, lock it down a little bit and you create it yourself. So I'm going to show you how to create one of these memes. And I'm going to show you this really cool extension. Okay, so you go to Google Drive. Click on New. You go down to the, I'll even show you this here. It takes so darn long. So you go to Google Drive to do a Google Drawing. Click on New, down to More, Google Drawings. Okay, that doesn't take a lot of time, but this is a lot faster. Just created it. Okay, so right here, and it's hard, I can't zoom in on my bar right here, but this is called Google Docs Quick Create. Awesome extension. Okay, you click on it, immediately you can choose whatever you need, any of the Google things. Google Doc automatically creates it just like that. I recommend you use that one in the future. Okay, so we've got this drawing here. Okay, so we're going to call it Great Depression. Social studies teacher, sorry for being the downer in the room here, but we'll do this. So it's going to be a Great Depression meme. We're going to go back to tools like I showed you before. Go to Explore. Okay, and if you type in Great Depression, I've done this a few times lately, so I know it's going to come up with what I want here. I clicked on Images, by the way. Okay, and what we need to find is this image right here. All right, so we've got this one. I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller to start out here. Drag it up right to the corner, locks right in. Okay, so now watch this next step carefully. So now you can bring it down here all the way to the bottom. Now you'll notice there's some extra stuff on the side. It's not that big of a deal. If you're type A like me, though, that just bugs you. Okay? So there's a way to fix that, real easy way. If you go back, or you go down to the bottom right corner right here, once you get down here, you'll see that little, just those little lines. Bring it in. All right? Now it all fits in there perfectly. Okay? So, this will be, we're going to call this one Great Depression, and it's going to be blank. Because what the students will do now is they're going to put the text over them. Okay? We're not done. We need to give them an example too. All right? So, what we'll do here is File, and we're going to go down to make a copy of this. And we're going to call it Great Depression Example. Okay? So now it's going to be the same thing that I just created right there, but now as the teacher, you're going to create your example one. So you go up to Insert right here, go to Text Box, right. When you type in the words, when you should have saved your money under your mattress. You know, right there, highlight it, we're going to go white, make it bold, make it a little bit bigger. Simple as that. Now we have got an example, and you kind of see it, we'll call that good. Okay? So this is the example one. So we've created all the files that we need now at this point. Okay? So you go back to Google Classroom, back to the stream, click on plus right here, go create assignment. This is where you're actually going to see an entire assignment being created here. So we'll call it meme. Instructions, I will skip instructions for right now to save time. I'll also skip the date. Well, actually, I haven't shown you that. So to do with the due date, you just click on it. We'll call it today, topic. Okay, we're going to call this one just an assignment. Now, I'm going to go down right here. So you have many options. You can click a file from your computer, Google Drive, YouTube, a link, all kinds of different things. Now remember, those memes we created, that's in Google Drive. Click on Google Drive here. So now the most recent stuff, as you'll see here, automatically it's on the Recent tab, and they do that on purpose because they know something that you're going to attach right now, or that you're going to want to attach, is probably something that you created recently or been messing with recently. And as you can see here, they are. So I'm going to click on this one. We're going to add the Great Depression one. Now we also need to add the example. There we go. All right, so right now students can view both of these files. That's okay for the example, okay? But I want to send this assignment out to each individual student, their own copy, Because then if Johnny makes an edit and puts some inappropriate stuff, Susie's not going to get in trouble for it. Everybody gets a copy. Okay? Now, in the past, without Google Classroom, this was the biggest pain in the butt for any teacher using Google products. Is having to send something out to kids and tell them, no, don't edit it. Ah, crap, they already edited it. Now it's all messed up looking. Okay, yeah, I'm here laughing. This has happened to everybody, right? And then you tell the kid to make a copy, and then so-and-so doesn't know how to do it, and now, you're walking around the room and you're flustered, okay? Well, let's take care of that problem. Google Classroom can take care of that. So what you do, you click on it, and you choose Make a Copy for Each Student. There should be memes online about Google Classroom and Make a Copy, because it's like the coolest thing that Google Classroom offers up to this point. That's just my opinion, but a lot of people agree with me on this. Okay? So now I can just assign this right now. Something I haven't shown you is if you click on the down arrow, if you click Save Draft, like this here, it's going to save the draft like I had shown you before here that I had already had saved. But you could also go to Schedule. And now, this is a fairly new feature. You can schedule this assignment for when you want it to be sent out. Okay? So use that if you like. And that can be helpful, like if you have a substitute coming in, you're going to be gone for a few days, you can schedule an assignment, something like that. Okay? Click on Assign. All right, so now on the student's end, what they're going to see here, go back, right here. So when the students open it up, they will see this. The example on the top. When they open up the example, you'll notice that they don't have any ability to do, it says view only. They cannot edit this. So you can check that out, all right? Now they can go on their own now, and you'll see they will have the ability to make their edits. Okay, so they can click on, insert, go to text box, do all that stuff. They can make their own assignment. Now you'll notice now, for this one, we made a copy for everybody. So when the student goes in, I want to show you what their view is. You'll notice a difference here. It says turn in, not mark as done. All right? So most assignments that I create, I make a copy for each kid. All right? And what it'll show is this. Just click on turn in. So I tell kids, once you're done, turn it in. I include that in the instructions, actually, as I go about doing it. Turn it in, there we go, and it'll be done. So now on my end, one student has done it. Looks like so far there is the student that has done it right there. I click on it, it will open it up. I can grade the one that's done. You'll notice on the side here, it shows, okay, done. Those who have completed the assignment, if I click just that, you'll notice those are the ones that it checks, just the one student. These students down here, all of those, they have not done the assignment yet. Okay? Real quick way to check and see who's got it done. All right? Another thing is these numbers that you can see right here. You know how many kids are in your classroom. At the ALC, I'm at a small class size, sometimes 9, 10 kids in the room. So I can tell right away, okay, it says there's maybe 8 answers that have been sent in. I know there's 10 kids in the room. And I look in the corner and I can see Chris over there in the corner doing whatever he's doing on the internet. I know that I need to get him off of there and get that assignment turned in. I probably should have noticed in the first place. Okay? But those numbers right there is just a little snapshot of who's got stuff done. Very important to utilize all those different things right there. All right? So that's a little bit on memes. So another thing that is allowed by Google Classroom, and this is a unique thing too, and this is where Google Classroom's got the edge on things like Schoology, Edmodo, stuff like that. And I haven't used Schoology, Edmodo a whole lot lately. Maybe there are some updates and stuff like that. But Google Classroom offers students the ability to create any type of document that they want or file to express themselves. So you can have a student-centered classroom and give students choice in choosing a medium to satisfy an assignment. So you can tell kids, you have to complete this project, you have to do this. Tell me about the Great Depression. Okay? You do it any way you want. You can type a couple paragraphs in a Google Doc. Go ahead and choose Docs. You can make a slideshow. You can make a drawing, a meme about it, something like that. Give students that ability. Because as you're going through, you're going to find there's going to be some students that are good at typing. They're good with words. They'll use the doc. People that maybe like to present and be up in front of people might be able to choose slides, whereas the creative types might choose Google Drawings. And sometimes the kids will surprise you what they choose too. But the kids are in control. You're going to get better responses from kids. You're going to get more engagement from kids if you give them a little bit of control. And truth is, really, you're only getting a little bit of control. You are still in control of the classroom, perhaps more in control than if you didn't do something like this. All right? So utilize that. And I can just show you briefly here. We'll go back to the student view. Actually, we'll go over. So if we go back to, students can add this to any question. Let's see if we open up this one here. That's not going to work. What we're going to do, we'll go back to the meme one. Okay, this is important too. So a student turns something in, and they go, oh, crap, I forgot one little thing about that I need to add to it. Once you turn it in, the students can't edit their own file even. Okay? And this will come up. It's come up in my classroom multiple times. I can't edit my file, Mr. Baxter, okay? And the reason why is because you have to click on Unsubmit. Click on Unsubmit, then they're going to be able to edit their file again like they have in the past. Okay? Now here's where you'll see, here's this option, Create. If you click on Create, there you go. You can choose any one of those things. So let's say that you wanted them to add an additional file on there that talks about the Great Depression. They can do that. Another thing that I really won't go over so much, but this Add button is right here. Okay? So you click on that, and you can add a Google Drive file, a link, or a file. So this gives students a little bit of choice here too. Okay? So you tell the students, complete this task any way that you see fit. They could add a file from their computer, their Google Drive, a link to a website, something from their Google Drive. Gives them choice as well. Consider doing it. Okay? It's actually easier for you too, because you don't have to have everything on such a lockdown. Okay? You give the general topic that you want the kids to explore, and then let them do the rest. All right, so there's other ways to use Google Classroom, and due to time and stuff like that, I didn't think we could probably get through some of these. I'll touch on them more if we do have time at the end. But you can use it on the iPad, okay? It's gotten better and better. Anybody that's ever tried to use the G Suite, formerly Gaphy, Google Apps for Education, on iPad the past few years? Ooh. If you're sharing iPads, kids are sharing iPads in a room, it can get really hairy and tricky. Because you've got kids that are signed in. One kid has got themselves signed into Sheets on one iPad, and another kid is signed into Google Slides, and they're all separate apps. And now you're using Google Classroom, and the third kid signed into that. This has become a mess. Okay, so going from app to app on the iPad used to be a lot more difficult. Now, though, they've made it a little bit easier to switch between apps. Okay, so you can use it on iPad. Also, you can use it on a Droid tablet. I just saw a feature that was added in Droid tablet. It's something that kids can do to like annotate or edit images right on their tablet. Haven't checked it out. Something that's pretty cool. So if you've got Droid tablets in your school, you can do something like that. Okay. You can reuse, assign a Google form. How about that? So this is somewhat recent too. If I want to make an assignment here, well, actually, I won't go into this too much. What you can do, though, is just make a regular assignment here by creating an assignment. Go to Google Drive, and if you have created a Google form beforehand, you can go ahead and attach that Google form to the assignment. Now, this might not seem like a big deal, but up until about 6 months ago, you had to get the link for your Google form, make sure that the editing rights or that it could be shared with anybody. Then you had to go to Google Classroom and upload the link or put the link in there. They have fixed that since. Now you can just add a Google form from there. Okay, we'll dive into that any more than that. You can reuse assignments. So I go back into here. Okay, so I know there's an assignment I want to do today, but I know I did it last year, and there's a lot of instructions in it. I don't want to type it all over again. Go up here to reuse post. Okay, so now I can choose any of my prior classes from any year. Okay, and I can choose a post from World Geography 6, we'll say. Okay, there we go. We'll choose assignment 4.1 reuse. All right, there we go. So now I can go ahead and assign this assignment again. Okay, really use that one. One, you can use assignments that you had from last year. That's one big part. But also, if you've got a couple different sections of a particular class, you can reuse an assignment from last period's class or something like that. Okay, so that's very handy. A word on multiple classes. So if I want to create this assignment here, let's say I'm going to create an assignment, test, no instructions, nothing like that. You'll notice right here where it says 4. Okay? So you can reuse a post to use an assignment from last hour's class, but the best way to do it is that previous hour, what you should have done is clicked up here, and you can choose multiple classes that you send this assignment to. So I've got multiple classes that I do current events in. I have kids type down headlines as they watch current events video. I've got 3 classes that do this. So when I create my current events thing for the week, I create it and I share it with all 3 classes. Okay? It's just a blank assignment. What I then have kids do, I say, go ahead, click on create, and add a Google Doc to this, and then type your current events in that document for the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then at the end of the week you turn it in. Okay? But you can assign to multiple classes. Very good feature of Classroom. Okay, so now you can, I told you that you can save an assignment. It's a draft at the top. Also that you can schedule an assignment. Good. Another thing you can do is to use a hyperdoc. How many people are familiar with hyperdocs in here? They've been around for a while. There were some sessions that talked about it today. These are incredible. Okay? And once you get good at making these, you can make them pretty quickly. Because that's kind of the downfall to start out with, is that making them can be a little bit cumbersome. Okay, but as you get good at them, you can make them pretty quick. So they're pretty simple. A hyperdoc is a document like a Google Doc. It can also be a slides file. It could technically be a Google Drawing, any of those things. And it's going to have certain components. So it's hyperlinked out. So students can click on some hyperlinks to go to either a third-party website or another Google file or something like that. And then they can type and put some answers on here. They're my thinking area right there. You can send one of these out. So now, this is just a copy of this Digital Museum Exhibits one. In the session resources, I included a link to a website that's got all kinds of pre-made hyperdocs. If you click on the link, then you can choose like your subjects of English, social studies, something like that. Like I clicked on social studies and it brought me to a Google Drive folder with like hundreds of them, pre-made. Awesome. You just make a copy of it and now you can use it, you can edit it, use it yourself. I highly recommend doing that. Go into the session resources and check that out. So you can do a hyperdoc. Also, you can send a Guardian email summary. This is new. This is pretty neat. So the only section I haven't covered so far right now is students. So if you click right in the middle here on students, it's going to bring you to right here. So just a quick note, here's the class code. So when students at the beginning of your class, beginning of the school year, they go to Google or classroom.google.com, you give them that code, then they can sign up. You can also add students yourself on this page individually, but why not make them do that? Okay? If you've got 20 kids, 25 kids in your room, you don't need to do that. Have the kids do it, but you have the option either way. All right? So down here you can see Guardian email summaries. Okay, so I've got this class included on this. I want to say that when you create a class, it is automatically off. Double check on that. Just make sure you know it is what it's supposed to be, what you want it to be. But here's an example of what one of these would look like. So I was just talking to a couple of my colleagues last night. I think I see Bill right there. You know, dog ate my homework, right? For years, this dogged us teachers, and we couldn't prove that Johnny was lying. Okay, but now, with Google Classroom, you assign something, unless the dog literally ate your Chromebook or your computer, you're lying, okay? So kids can't get away with those little things like that. Also, though, parents can see what students have been up to. So what it sends out is an email just like this. So you have to get the email from the parents. You have to get approval from the parent that, yes, we want to get these emails. Then if they say yes, you plug in their email, this will be sent out to them. Looks pretty professional. Gives a weekly summary for Felix right here. Shows what he's missing, what's due next, and you can show some class activity from the previous week, etc., etc. Parents will be very happy to sign up for this. In my experience, you know, most any parent's going to want you to do this. Okay. Other things in here that you can do, I should add this. So let's say here, I know Rhonda, so I can pick her out a little bit. So Rhonda's just kind of been acting out in class a little bit. She's been posting some different comments that are inappropriate. Rhonda, darn it. I mute Rhonda, okay? So you can click a student and you can mute them. So now they can still submit their work. Other students won't see it, can't reply to classmates' work, okay? So they can't reply, and they can't comment or post. So you can mute a student. And then you can unmute them once they earn their privileges back, right? Okay? But that's an important thing to remember. And that kind of brought up another thing too. So on the student view here, if somebody else, now let's see if somebody answered a question here for today's question. So again, I'm on the student view. I'll look at this here. You can see your classmates' answers, it says right here. Do that. Okay, so it looks like, wow, there we go, we got a reply. Good. That was me, I forgot. So other students though. Other students can also reply to this right here. All right? So just another way for them to interact, stuff like that. Okay? And then lastly, using Classroom for professional development. This is a great way to do that. So administrators in the room, so if you want to send something out and you want to know when a teacher has done something that you're asking them to do, okay, you can check your Google Classroom, see who's turned it in, see who hasn't. Also, you can click on it and see how they're doing it in real time. Just a quick note on that as well. You can see the students working on it in real time. Okay, so if you click on people that have not turned it in yet, let's say they're working on it. You click on the document. Right. So if we click on one that somebody's done, okay, right here. Oops. Sign. Okay, so let's say Christina was still working on hers. I click on her name, and it's not going to work because it's not going to show up. Okay, so what would show up? If Christina did log in and she was working on hers, a slides file would show up right here. You click on it, then you can see them working on the file in real time. I'll do this a lot just to let kids know that I'm watching, okay? And we have so much time left and you got to get this done on time. I can see what you've done, all right? Okay, so there's some extensions here. Now I'm going to go right up to that last minute. Looks like I got about 8 minutes left right here. Okay, no, are we done right now? Gosh darn it. All right. So check out the session resources, okay? And if I can do this just to push my luck a little bit right here, I'll just tell you one thing. That Google Docs Quick Create is awesome. We need to go to this right here. Okay, here's some awesome websites you guys can use with this. Docent.edu, what you can do is you can see this, import Google Classroom classes into some of these websites, or you can share to Google Classroom on some of these websites. Okay, so the Google the ecosystem is growing. More and more websites are getting involved with it, making things easier for you to use. All right, we got right up to the end. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. If you've got time to go into the session evaluation and give me the honest truth, tell me how I did. Have a great rest of your conference.
Because there might be people who won't talk to him. Oh, that guy was a big presenter, and he's going to talk to them. Yeah. He did the keynote this morning. What? Yeah, still.
Incredibly. That's the number one thing that I always tell people is that it's easy to use, it makes sense, things are where you would imagine them to be. Really, just like anything you can. Play a little bit, a half hour or so, you can talk.
Can you do a quick scan count or?
Everybody loves that. Okay, so it's called the mouse Kazay. Okay. So I've got the hotkey for Shift Z. Do that? Yep. Okay.
Looky there. Okay. Certainly don't expect to see people I know when they come
Out of here!
Oh yeah. Good.
Look at who's here.
I suppose you gotta do a selfie. Send it to
Are you
Cody.
recording it? Or
Yeah, I think he's probably done.